Welcome to Web3 and Me, presented by FLOLiO. I am Jeremy Weber, joined as always by Dan Von Block. And on today's show, we are going to recap a tumultuous Q2 in the NFT market. We're going to look ahead to a make or break Q3 for a lot of your favorite NFT projects. And we're going to give kind of our thoughts on the direction that the market is headed. As always, please like the show today, subscribe to our channel, and most importantly, head to FLOLiO.com. That is FLOLiO.com. Link your account, see your account valuation. We recently added some new features to the site, including fair market value for some of the biggest projects out there. We're still tweaking that. Download our free browser extension, all that good stuff. Dan, as I mentioned, it has been a roller coaster of a Q2 in the NFT market. How are you feeling that you've survived the first half of 2022?
I mean, barely survived. Nah, just kidding. I'm doing.
Holding
I'm
on
doing
by the
good.
skin of our teeth.
Yeah, I'm doing alright. It's it's you may I guess some at days like these you kind of miss the days where it's like volume across the board, projects doing 20k ETH in like 24 hours and stuff.
Yep.
It's kind of strange to see the 24 hours on OpenSea or like our trending page, and it's just like some project knockoff derivative in the like rank 10 or something in volume, and it's just kind of like, man, it used to be so great.
Yeah, I was looking over some of the numbers for OpenSea looks rare
Mm-hmm.
for Q2, and it was not that long ago that we had April of this year between Moonbirds and people still being bullish. There was 3.5 billion in OpenSea volume. In May, it was mainly buoyed by other deeds in the first couple of days, but there was still
Mm-hmm.
2.6 billion in sales on OpenSea. June, there was 700 million. It just ate shit so hard in June. I mean, that's down 80% from April, like just
Yeah.
really, really bad. So the lowest volume that we've seen since July of last year.
Yeah.
We volume has been down for about the last 50, 55 days. Ever since the very first few days of May, everything has been absolute disaster.
Yeah, and crypto has been down ever since the start of the year. So
Crypto's down, stock market's
yeah,
down.
yeah, markets as well. To be fair, yeah.
The markets are down, but we're going to keep the vibes up. Okay, so let's jump into some of our biggest new projects from Q2. There
Mm-hmm.
are a handful of them. Some are still doing well. Some we don't expect to see by the end of Q3. So they'll get their last kind of moment in the sun. I would say the biggest new project of Q2 is obviously Moonbirds.
Yeah.
They set a record for 24-hour sales volume on OpenSea. They lost that record to our next project, Other Deeds. We'll come to that in a second. But Moonbirds has been they got up into the low 40s for floor price within the first week of their project, which was absolutely insane. There's no way
Yeah.
they're going to sustain that. But they've held very strong in the low 20s. And they also have the vast majority of those are being nested earning rewards right now. So last I checked, there was less than 150 listed for sale on OpenSea. So 1.5% of the entire collection is listed for sale, which is a crazy low number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do we know what kind of rewards they're earning doing the nesting thing?
I'm not too sure right now. They had they also had an airdrop of the oddities that
Yeah,
was
I saw
given to
that.
everyone who was holding a moonbird and who was nesting a
A
moonbird.
few
So,
ETH, I think, or not.
and those should be revealing here, I think, some point in July. So we
Mm-hmm.
won't have to wait too much longer on that. So, they had a great NFT NYC party from what I can tell. The
Mm-hmm.
holders seems like these holders are very much in it for the long run. They believe in Kevin Rose. They believe in Justin Mazel. So there's a lot of optimism still if you are a Moonbird holder for sure. And if that's, if you're looking to park ETH somewhere because you want it to, appreciate into more ETH, I don't think there are any truly safe bets in the NFTs right now. But Moonbirds is probably one of the better ones to
Yeah,
make.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. So like I mentioned, they had held the 24-hour record for a few weeks until Other Deeds came around. Other Deeds launched the very last day of April and quickly had one of the biggest single sales volume days ever with $500 million on May
It was
1st.
madness. Yeah.
Yeah, absolute insanity. Not without its issues, obviously. There was, the gas war that happened as a result of
Oh,
it. People
mm,
burning like $185 million in gas. A lot
yeah.
of people not getting other deeds. Yuga Labs eventually, they paid back the people who had burned gas that didn't get an other deed, so they at least covered that. But it left a black eye on Yuga Labs and on
Mm,
the other deeds projects that they still haven't fully recovered from. Anytime something goes wrong with another project, people who invest that project are like, well, at least we're not Yuga and we didn't burn a bunch of money. It's like, okay, I guess we're just that's the scapegoat answer that everyone's going to have forever.
yeah, and they were like blaming it on the chain as well. They're like, yeah, Ethereum chain. Like it's not our fault, essentially.
Yeah, it was a weird situation. Like even Vitalik came out and said like the contract was fine. It was just the demand was too crazy. I don't
Mm.
know what to believe there, but that was another big project. We had over the last 6 weeks, Goblin Town came onto the scene. They've been the biggest project of this really bad bear market. The timing, was perfect. They recently revealed the team behind it. They had a weird but strong showing at NFT
Yeah, very
NYC
weird.
with
Yeah,
their McGoblin Burger food truck.
and the
They
people.
had there was a lot of bad feedback on their event because I guess it was a very small event and not many people could get in, and that caused some people to be frustrated. So that kicked off what we've been seeing this last month of a lot of the free mint projects.
Yeah, it's been a lot, and I think it's just I don't know if it's hype or it's like desperation or it's just like I think maybe just the market like conditions that allow or like that kind of like fester this whole free mint stuff, right? Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, we've seen after Goblin Town, the one that kicked off the free mints, We Are All Going to Die had a meteoric rise. They have done over 11,000 ETH in volume. They've now had a really big pullback and are trading at around 0.14 ETH. And there was also Shit Beast, which has around 8K in trading volume, also had a big run up, but is now all the way back to 0.19. I wouldn't be surprised if by the time we do our Q3 reveal, each of those are under zero point 0.1.
Yeah, it just kind of like it's just a thing. So doing is shit beast were they a free mint project?
Uh,
Because I know
I'm not
Wagda is. I'm
totally
not sure
sure. Wagdai is for
about
sure free.
shit beast.
But
But it's
yeah,
just the thing
shit.
we see right now, right? Like just the projects that they're coming out of seemingly nowhere, go to a high floor price, and a week later they're gone. Like it's just real fast.
Yeah, yeah. It's been you know, those have been some of the bigger projects of the quarter. So let's get into the winners and losers. Now, we don't need to go back to them. Moonbirds was definitely a winner in Q2. Goblin Town was a winner. Other deeds remains to be seen, and we'll talk about them in the Q3 preview. But one of the big winners of Q2 was actually the site X2Y2
Yeah.
in their NFT marketplace. They have taken a pretty big chunk of the market share from both OpenSea and LooksRare. And a big reason for that is they've had over the last few months, 0 to 0.5% transaction fees in an attempt to get more people trading on their platform.
And they purchased something as well, like a tool, right?
Okay.
I'm unsure which thing it is. I can look it up real quick, but it's because you know how Gem got bought by like OpenSea, and then
Mm-hmm.
LooksRare bought Genie, and then X2Y2 they bought something as well. Um, so I wonder. I wish I knew what they bought, but they bought something at least, some takeover.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like there's been a decent amount of wash trading on there, but still some legit volume as well. You know, that low transaction fee, it definitely catches people's attention and brings them over. The question is how long can your site, how much capital do you have to continue to keep the lights on and keep the site running if you're not taking a transaction fee?
Yeah.
So I don't know where they're got their money from right now, if they have enough runway to make it a few more months before they have to bump up their fees again. So that's going to be interesting to watch going into Q3. Another winner from Q2 was IRL events. We saw
Mm.
both VCon and NFT NYC take place in the second quarter of this year. VCon was up in Minneapolis at US Bank Stadium where the Minnesota Vikings play. And then NFT NYC was obviously in New York City.
No.
So both of those showed the power of NFTs in creating in real life experiences. I think they were both received pretty well by the vast majority of people. And I think that, we'll see more events in person. There's going to be Art Basel down in Miami in December of this year. I think a lot of these projects, they put on great IRL events this year, and they're going to have to keep backing that up. The question becomes, how do they continue to make money through a bear market to pay for those? Like if the NFT market stays stagnant over the next 3, 6, 9 months, how are they going to pay for events when royalty fees are way, way down?
Yeah, and besides that, I think that these IRL events are like it's like a perfect showing of which project actually has a following, actually have people caring about the project. Because we saw with the Invisible Friends that there was just no showing, right? People clearly didn't care enough to go down there and rep the project or wanted to see more about the project. Outside people didn't really care, and people inside the project didn't really care either. And I think it just goes to show that these IRL events are like a great like way to like test the real like fan base, I think.
Yeah, and we did see some projects that had some good things happening. Sappy Seals has seen a lot of positive traction since their event. Cool Cats had a lot of positive feedback on their event. Doodles got positive feedback. So it can definitely go both ways. So those are two of our winners, in addition to Moonbirds and Goblin Town. Now let's get into a much longer list, which was the losers of Q2. Dan, what was the biggest loser of Q2?
Basically, like 98% of all NFTs. It's something we talked about before, and it's just like there's so many losers that they have barely any volume, so it's nearly impossible to find them to do our research and find them and be like, oh hey, this project that used to do well like a 2 months ago is currently at like a floor of like none, right? Yeah, literally.
Dickenza is not wrong.
It's quite. There's probably too many to count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of these projects, they're not going to come back. They weren't, and we're seeing that in a bear market, anyone can get a project going. Like later last year, early this year, pretty much anything was minting out. But a lot of those projects didn't manage their money well. They didn't switch from ETH into USDC, so now they're very much struggling. And we're going to see a lot of them don't come back.
Mm-hmm.
So the vast, vast majority of NFT projects are huge losers from this quarter. This next one pains me as a Bored Ape holder, but I went ahead and put Yuga Labs in the losers category for Q2. As I mentioned with other deeds in the biggest projects, that launch was a big L. That looked so bad. Their initial response, blaming ETH and saying maybe we need our own chain, that was like the worst comms that you could possibly imagine. That was a big L. Ape Fest was a win. I'll give them that. Like Ape Fest went pretty well with the exception of day one. Snoop and Eminem dropping their music video featuring their apes that has gotten a ton of views on YouTube is good. But then we also have the drama with notorious scumbag Ryder Rips and Yuga having to sue him over trademark infringement. And unfortunately, I don't believe the BS in that video. It's just so clearly that they were grasping for straws, trying to sell their own project. But Dan, a lot of other streamers have piled onto it as well, right?
Yeah, there's so many outside people who aren't in the scene. They looked at the video on their stream, they replied to it, like not knowing anything. They're like, "Oh wow, they're reporting this, so it must be true, right?" Yeah, it harms the brand, it harms the scene, and it further like perpetuates this whole NFTs bad thing. And yeah, I wonder why they're suing for copyright infringement and not not slander but libel, yeah.
Defamation, whatever.
Defamation. Yeah, I mean that makes more sense in my in my head, right?
I think that it's harder for them to prove that. I think that that opens them up to Yeah, I think it. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a legal expert, but it just
Me
seems like
neither. But
the trademark part of it was much easier, much more cut and dry, and is
yeah.
not going to lead to a very drug out process. Whereas, if
Mm,
they were suing him for slander and libel, there's a lot more, subjective viewpoints that go into that. That's just kind of my thought on it.
yeah.
But either way, I think Yuga Labs took an L in Q2. It definitely has people concerned. As an ape holder, I'm fairly concerned about, can they bounce back from this? Can other deeds have a good trial later this month? We'll talk about that in a little bit. Another loser from this month was NFT marketplace Looks Rare. We mentioned before that X2Y2 cut into their trading volume. They have made improvements on the site. Like, I don't know if you saw one of the improvements they made recently, Daniel, that was pretty cool. Was it was kind of like an if then situation. So you
Yeah,
could
yeah, yeah.
list a couple NFTs from the same collection. If one of them sold, the other one would immediately be delisted. So I think that's,
That's pretty
if you
cool.
wanted to sell, if you have two apes and you only want to sell one of them, you could list both of them without having to worry about, taking the other one down. So that was kind of cool. But outside of that, trading volume on that site has been very, very low over the last, few weeks. Their staking rewards went down in Q2, and that led to people selling. The token has absolutely cratered down to, like, I don't know, a quarter a pop. So Looks Rare had a really tough Q2. I hope the market bounces back and they do better, because I do think that it is a better site than OpenSea, but they're
Yeah.
struggling big time right now.
And talking about this, it makes me remember that we missed a loser, and that's Coinbase NFT.
Ooh, yeah, Coinbase. Yeah, probably
That's
one
an
of the biggest
L.
losers. Like, they put so
Huge
much money into
L.
that site. Yep. So perfect, good call, Dan. So Looksrare and Coinbase NFT, big losers from Q2.
Yeah, it is crazy to think about how long they've been cooking Coinbase NFT up and what they're promising and what they delivered. It's crazy. They had no one to they must have had no one to give them feedback on how they should create an NFT marketplace, right? From like a design or like from a feature perspective. Madness.
Yeah, not great, not great. Also in the losers category is pretty much every free mint except for Goblin Town.
Yeah. Like Moonrunners did well recently, but again, like with almost all of these free mint projects, they well at least the ones that do well, right? Like we can ignore the 99% that like don't mint out and are left trading with like a zero ETH floor, but the ones that do well, they tend to they tend to like have this FOMO inducing effect where it's like, oh guys, here we go again, another wag die, another this, another that, and then goes up. People take profits because they're like, why am I holding this one ETH bag of free mint project with fake like fancy letters and cool like lore Twitter with no Discord? Kind of overplayed at this point, and I guess people realize that this one ETH floor of this random new project isn't gonna last forever. Take the bags and run, and that's what yeah, like we see this like over and over again.
Yeah, and the same can be said for derivatives, another big
Yeah.
loser of the quarter. You see every project that's been successful has had knockoffs of it. One that comes to mind was, we saw Moonbirds was a big winner in Q2. Then there was a whole situation where there's the creators that made AI Moonbirds, which had to be, which was taken down off of OpenSea. They had to change their name to AI Nightbirds. Just pulled
No.
it up. Their floor is now at 0.09. It was like up to like half an ETH at one point. So these,
Wow.
derivative projects, if you're
Oh.
minting one of them like for free or for super cheap and you can flip it, okay. But I would not be buying a derivative project on the secondary market. That is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I've done it once, and that was such peak like degen. It was so horrible, and this was whenever like Azuki was like super pumping, and there's this pretty cool looking derivative. It was called like Deizuki or something. It was like demonized Azuki,
Mm-hmm.
and my friend sent it to me, and I was like, damn, that looks pretty cool. So I was like, I'll mint one. I'll mint one. It was like point oh two five or something. I was like, okay, I'll mint one. I was like, okay, it looks cool. Okay, I'll mint a few more, and I ended up minting like 10. And I was like, oh lord, okay, I need to stop. I just wasted like point 0.3 or something of my ETH, and then fast forward, like a month later or 2 months later, this is the time where it actually started pumping like Azuki. I minted it before, and then of course whenever like a main project pumps, the derivatives pump as well because it's like the gambling aspect, I guess, right? Like
Yeah.
people think like, oh, hey, if Azuki is doing well, what's the number one derivative project? And they ended up like pumping pretty hard, to like point 2, point 3 or something. And I still had 10 of these. So I was like, what the hell? I was like, get them out of here, you know. But
Yep.
yeah, no more touching derivatives for me. It's crazy.
Yeah, another group of losers in the NFT market in Q2 were pretty much every single athlete and celebrity that has
Yeah,
been involved in
yeah, yeah.
NFTs. We
Mm,
saw it with the players only NFT project that was spearheaded by Michael Carter Williams and some other NBA players. Basically, turned into a rug. Had to be acquired by the Knights of Degen project. They're trying to revive it. We saw Ozzy Osbourne's crypto bats continue to just kind of fade off into oblivion.
yeah,
Most
shocker.
recently, Kevin Hart this week announced that he's entering the Web3 world. I think like on Monday or Tuesday, he tweeted that he's been diving deep into NFTs.
Yeah.
And then on Thursday, he said, hey, come check out my Discord. I'm launching a project, all that stuff. So we've continued to see that when celebrities and professional athletes launch NFT projects, they usually do it with little to no preparation. They don't try to get involved in the communities much, and it eventually turns into a rug pull. Floyd Mayweather, another one, who this quarter tried to launch, like I think his third NFT project, and one of the most well-known, crypto sleuths or on-chain sleuths, as he describes himself, Zach XBT, did a whole story on how big of a scam artist Floyd Mayweather Jr. is. So, as always, we will continue to bring it up, and people will push back against it. But if a celebrity is jumping into NFTs, they're doing it purely to get some quick cash. They don't actually care
Mm.
about building a project out.
How about the Lana Rhodes one? I
Oh
don't
yeah,
remember that one. It was
yep,
literally like a rug.
yeah. There was a porn star who started an NFT project, and she immediately like shut it down and gave some
Yeah,
BS reason. So
yeah,
that's been an absolute disaster.
yeah. She mentioned how something about she didn't like Discord or something, and like she didn't really like the people or something. They were like talking mad shit, and she's like, "Nah, I'm done with this." And she like left.
Yeah,
It's
yep.
so funny to me.
Another loser was, and I once again talking about myself here, ApeCoin holders. ApeCoin has at its lowest point, it went from $27 down to like 3.25. So it lost like 90% of its value in the span of like a month. So if you didn't sell right before the other deeds, I think it was like the Thursday before other deeds, the price peaked at like just under $27. I know some people who sold it right around like 25 and took a big win, but anyone, myself included, who has been holding any amount of ApeCoin is down bad compared to where they could have been right around the mint for other deeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, not great. We have a few individual projects we're going to put out there as losers now. I'm going to say Pixel Vault is a loser of Q2. There have been, I was listening to Twitter Spaces earlier. That's a morning marketplace one, and one of the hosts of it, she recently sold her Pixel Vault, and she kind of gave her rationale behind it, and it had been kind of her online identity, but basically saying that she's fed up with how much stuff they're putting out, how little attention they're paying to what is already put out. They're just trying to add more and more pieces to it, and we see that today with the minting of Punk's comic issue number
Mm-hmm.
3. There's an 18,000 supply with a 0.2 ETH mint price. If you add that to the Founders DAO, Mint Pass 1, Mint
Yeah,
Pass
so
2,
many.
Punk's Comic 1, Punk's Comic 2, there's like the special ape cover Punk's comics. There are all the different planets and the moon, like so many different Pixel Vault tokens. It's ridiculous. They announced like a partnership with the USC, so they're getting involved in sports, which I don't understand why they're doing that when they haven't even fully launched their main thing yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna put Pixel Vault in as a loser for Q2 just because I think people are just starting to see that it's too much stuff. It is too much of a pyramid scheme. and the team behind it is cashing in. They've raised VC money, like they've made so much
Yeah.
money, and they haven't really delivered on much of anything. Their NFT NYC events were very, very small to where most holders weren't even able to go to anything. They had like 4 events that were like a max of 50 people at each of them.
Wow.
Uh, G Funk, who runs the project, I like made a joke about it, and he got all butthurt. Basically saying that they don't care about big parties. They wanted smaller, more intimate experiences. Sorry, man, but NFT NYC is an event where a lot of people go and they want to meet members of the community and they want to meet the teams. And just because you didn't want to put in the effort or the money to do a bigger thing doesn't mean that's the right thing to do. So I've been kind of I was on the fence about Pixel Vault for a while, but I think I'm kind of completely out on them.
Yeah. I mean, talk about oversaturation, right? Like,
Yeah.
it just seems like they're throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. To me, honestly.
Yep. 100%. Another big loser, Invisible Friends. Sorry, but it's over. The dream is over.
The dream is dead.
Yep.
Yeah, like we mentioned before, with the IRL events thing, it just shows that Invisible Friends doesn't really have that core community where everything is kind of like centered around, because you need people who really believe in the project, who innovate, who push boundaries, who create tools, everything. Um, they're just people are just holding, people are just selling. Uh,
Yeah.
Nothing really happening.
Hey, like
Fake hype
Dickenza
as well.
said, I think they started hyping the project last like November is when
Yeah,
they created their Twitter account, and they kept hyping it and hyping it and hyping it, and that has fallen off a cliff. The other pieces of that collective, Mood Rollers and Slim Hoods, they ran up because people needed them to get whitelist spots.
yeah,
Those have fallen off a cliff. So anyone who really put a sizable amount of money into getting Invisible Friends is down very, very bad right now. This
yeah.
next one that we have on here, I was on the fence about whether or not it should be listed as a loser or as it remains to be seen, but
Mhm.
we'll just say Cool Cats. Dan, I think you put this one on here, so I'll let you take over this.
Yeah. So I put it at loser, like only looking at this quarter, right? Granted, they've been doing pretty well for the last month, which is it's nice to see because they had an amazing NFT NYC event, maybe the best, maybe second best event. Very well made, very fun experience, very on brand, very kid friendly, and they. So the reason why I put them at losers was because they peaked at like 10 ETH at the start of the quarter. I guess just different times maybe.
Yeah,
They went down to like 2 point high at one point, and right now they've recovered to 4, and they were like 4.4 or something during NFT NYC. But again, I still think they're working away at creating like a better, more innovative project. And right now, loser, I'd say, but maybe next quarter when we do our Q3 review, we might be seeing them as a winner. So
yeah. Cool
for now,
Pets definitely has fallen in a big way too. They're right around point
yeah,
0.3 at the moment. The game finally launched, and people were happy about that, but then it got really boring. Like it was boring, and this is the concern with a lot
yeah,
of the play to earn games, like the milk token. No one cares about that. The game isn't fun, and like
it
if
needs to
we
be
want to
fun.
get people, the games need to be fun. We've
Yeah,
talked about this over and over again with people like Luca Ness, who was on the show. Like the games need to be fun to attract an audience. So I think Cool Cats, I hope that they have a strong bounce back in Q3. And then our final project on the losers list was World of Women. Their floor has gone down in a big way. It went from around 13 to 14 earlier this year. Now it's down to under 4. They had the mint for their companion drop, World of Women Galaxy, at the beginning of Q2. It minted out for 1 ETH, and now the floor is right around 0.47. And honestly, I'm not really sure what the project is doing. Like they had their empty NYC party with Madonna there. That was cool. It went well with the people they're trying to appeal to. But I think overall, it was a rough few months for them, and I hope they can bounce back. But I don't know what's gonna cause that to happen.
yeah. The issue is that I don't think they either they don't resonate well with the overall market, or they don't innovate enough, or they don't do enough or something. But it's something I mentioned to JWeb before the show, and that's I haven't heard anything about their project maybe for over a month. And the last time I heard anything about their project was Word of Women Galaxy, and that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are our losers for Q2. It was a very long list. And now we're going to move into our next part, which is kind of the remains to be seen. So a lot of the bigger name projects, they did some good things, some not so good things. So we can't really put them in either one of the original two buckets. So we're going to leave it as remain to be seen. So we'll start with CloneX. CloneX floor has gone down from 20 to about 12. The community still is fairly strong. They didn't do anything particularly bad. Like the monolith reveal happened in Q2. Yeah. They clearly have a very strong partnership with Nike. These crypto dunks or whatever they're calling them could be really cool. I picked up a monolith after Dan recommended it. I waited too long, but whatever. So I think it remains to be seen whether or not CloneX is going to have a bright future. There's been some rumors that there might be a token coming. We'll see.
They had they announced the full body CloneX things coming soon, I believe.
Okay.
As well.
Which, I mean, that's cool. Where are they going to be usable, though?
I hope everything.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. Another that remains to be seen, and they'll be discussed in our quick Q3 look ahead, is Gutter Cat Gang. The Gutter clones had some ups and downs. Like there was people who were frustrated with how long it was between cloning of the species. So, the cat cloning happened, and there was like 2 weeks until rats, and another 2 or 3 weeks till pigeons, and another like week or two until dogs. Yeah. So the art was very well received. Like it's in my opinion, some of the cooler art out there for an NFT project. So I think you can't really say for sure whether or not it was a win or a loss yet. They had a pretty good NFT NYC event. We discussed it the other day, but it fit in very well with the culture they're trying to build around streetwear, things like that. So Gutter Cat Gang kind of remains to be seen. How about you lead the way on this next one, Dan, which is going to be one of your favorites, Wolf Game?
Yeah, so I put it in remains to be seen because, delaying your full game obviously isn't like a huge dub. Delaying anything is usually seen as a pretty negative thing. And I saw it coming mainly because we were allegedly a month off and we still had some things that had to happen before the game could launch, which was their farmer reveal and their land reveal. Because, they have two assets right now, so land and farmers, that are basically still unrevealed. And they mentioned that these are going to be revealed before the full game begins. And it was literally like a month off, so I was like, nah, it's probably gonna be delayed, right? It ended up delaying to Q4, but they did mention why. They had like a very long Twitter thread about it, basically explaining like why they delayed and what they're going to do in between. They basically gave like a pretty nice like time, what's it called? Time, not timetable, but like essentially just like a roadmap of some sort.
Mm-hmm. Like a timeline coming up?
Yeah, timeline. There you go. And the farmer reveal should be coming soon. So they everything is basically ready for reveal. They finished with the burning of the gems, and gems are essentially like a guaranteed rarity for your farmer. And I happen to have the rarest one by luck because I found one in the cave game. And they mentioned that it's most likely going to be happening next week, the farmer reveal. And that's going to be interesting because we haven't had any sort of reveal or anything minting for Wolf Game in so long, but over half a year, maybe even a year. I wouldn't be surprised if it's so long. And I remember when they popped off like that. Like Wolf Game was like OpenSea front page, 24-hour trending, 7 days trending, insane volume, going crazy, huge names, and then over time, this core community started forming, and that's kind of it. So very much looking forward to this farmer reveal, not only for myself but also I'm hoping that there's a lot of volume, because I think we're seeing a similar thing that we saw with Akutar, and that's this like huge collective of a thing, but that it didn't really have this one project, this one collection to like congregate all of the volume into. So I'm hoping that the farmer reveal will somehow like do this.
Okay. Another one for this quarter that we went back and forth on was Doodles. They have seen their floor, it got up to almost 25 at one point, and then it's pulled back to 13 right now. They had the duplicator airdrop or claiming process, and then it recently revealed. They brought on the CEO from Billboard to help lead their project. They're taking it very seriously. They also just had another piece of it that minted out yesterday, which was their Genesis box. So essentially, if you own a Genesis box, you're gonna be able to like sell wearables to people to put on their second, the Doodles #2. I think it sounds like Doodles is trying to potentially move to the Flow blockchain in order to make it easier for people to be onboarded into the ecosystem, which is a good thing. But Flow is owned by Dapper Labs, who created Top Shot, so people are really concerned about the potential dilution of the original Doodles. With the Genesis box yesterday, there was 24,000 of them. That's a lot. There's only 4,600 owners, which is a very bad number. Again, I mentioned if any other project had a 20% ownership, people would not be very thrilled about that. It would be looked at as probably a bad project. So there are quite a few whales who hold large number of these Genesis boxes. So I think it remains to be seen. I think their next move is a very important one.
Yeah.
So I think we'll hold off on saying that Doodles was either a winner or a loser in Q2.
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible that we can see Doodles at 3 ETH, right? Like,
yeah.
It's very
It
possible we see a Cool Cat type of situation happening.
I just was going to say, yeah, 100%. Yep.
So, yes.
Also remains to be seen Azuki. There was the whole fallout from Zagabond this quarter. The floor quickly crashed. I went ahead and exited the project because after I heard about the other stuff he's been a part of, I didn't want to have anything to do with it. The floor, fell down to 7 ETH. It has since rebounded in the 11 to 13 range. I've been hanging out there. They had the beans reveal. They brought on the former head of Hello Kitty, who helped really build that into a strong brand. So they had a good NYC event. I think for the most part, you could argue that they were a winner this quarter because they dealt with a lot of stuff and they still have a very strong community, strong holder base, and the floor hasn't completely tanked.
Yeah, I asked an Azuki holder why the floor is like this, or why the general like vibe of the holders is like better now, and they basically said it's because Zagabond was open about things, and he showed up in public in NFT NYC and talked to people about all kinds of things, which I respected, Like,
yeah,
I respect that he comes to NFT NYC and talks to people. Like, I think that's a class act move, regardless of whatever he did in the past. Not to like.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I have no intention of buying back into the project.
Yeah,
but I do hope that like it's able to improve because it's I still think the art is really cool. The community members are obviously very passionate about it, whether or not that comes from a genuine place or because they have very big bags that are held in the project. So we'll see how Q3 looks for Azuki. And then finally, Solana NFTs. We were promised that this was going to be Solana summer. I wouldn't say that that's fully come to fruition, but we have seen that quite a few projects from Solana, OK Bears, Primates, D Gods. We don't talk about Solana very much on our show because neither of us are really that deep into it, and we're not going to just kind of make stuff up. But it does seem like Solana NFTs have been in the top, 20 to 25 projects on daily volume charts quite a bit over the last few months. So we could definitely see that continue if, Magic Eden, the main Solana marketplace, just raised $130 million at like a $1.6 billion valuation. So clearly there is some big VC money that believes that Solana NFTs could take some of the market share from Ethereum.
Yeah, for me, it doesn't feel the same. You know.
No, it doesn't. But we'll and it seems like they're having a disproportionate number of rug pulls over on Solana as well.
Yeah, it doesn't help that like there's all the Oh no, never mind. No, never mind. I'm thinking about Polygon, but yeah, no,
Okay.
you're right.
Yeah. So those are remain to be seen. So let's quickly touch on some projects that we're looking ahead to in Q3. We mentioned at the top other deeds. So on July 16th, 2 weeks from tomorrow, the first voyage is going to happen. So it's basically
Mm.
from what I understand, it's going to be like a 1 day event where people are going to be able to log in and actually play around in the other side metaverse. I think. I went ahead and voted on like the time. I would like to be involved in that because I want to see what it's like. I want to see if I think it's worth holding on to these other deeds or if I should cut my losses on some of them. So we have that. We also have Gutter Cat Gang. Q3 is very make or break for Gutter Cat Gang.
Yeah, I
We've
think
mentioned
so.
it before, but they have their gang token that's coming out. They have their Clone Wars game that's supposed to be coming out. So a lot that I'm looking forward to there. How about you, Dan?
I mean, for me, it's just mostly Wolf Game. It's a project where I've invested the most in. It's a project I believe the most in, and I think it's like regardless, like even money aside, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how they develop the game. Whether or not, and mainly like I just want to, I hope it's fun. That's the main concern. If the game isn't fun, man, I'm out of there. Like I have no intention of staying in the project if the final full game isn't fun. And because like we've seen, if the game isn't fun, it'll die.
Yeah,
Like Axie Infinity isn't fun. People play it for money. It's not fun to
yeah,
play though.
yeah, 100%. Along those lines, also in Q3 is going to be the first, like alpha testing of the Pixelverse. So if you haven't checked it out, a few weeks back did an interview with one of the devs on the Pixelverse team, Effie. It was a really good interview. We got deep into what they're building, why they're building it. I'm interested in this one because the team creating it are gamers first and foremost. Like they were competitive, high level esports players. And so I think that they have a very unique approach. They also have, crypto experts on board to try to make sure that the tokenomics of it fit into the project. So they have their pixel token that you can earn by staking Sappy Seals. You can buy the pixel pets to use in the Pixelverse. So I think that's one that's still flying under the radar. But if they execute it well, could take off in Q3.
And the community is amazing as well.
Yeah, you can't really beat the Sappy Seal community. They're still having fun during this bear market, and I don't think you can say the same about most other NFT project communities out there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. Anything else that I'm sure more things will pop up as we get further into Q3. Another one I'm still having my eye on is the Renga factory. So they recently airdropped the Renga black boxes to Art of Seasons holders. So I have some of those. So I'm excited to
Mm.
see when the reveal is for that, how all that plays out. But other than that, it's expect another quarter of low volume unless something really strong happens. Like I was reading some articles and the stock market's over here, basically the worst start to a year ever. The Nasdaq had its worst start to a year in the history of that exchange.
That's
Dow
crazy.
and S&P 500 had the worst starts to the year in like 50 and 60 years respectively. So it's been pretty bad. I don't know what would make it worse. You know, there's just not a whole lot to be optimistic about right now. So everyone just buckle up. One of the best things you can do is if you're still confident about some of these projects, just like sit on your hands, don't panic, and just let things play out, and the chips will fall where they may. If you got some other shitty projects and you can start unloading them still, I would just kind of take the ETH and run and take that tax loss. But that's just me.
There you go.
There you go. Not financial advice.
Oh
So
yeah, exactly.
thank you very much for watching today. If you're still watching at this point, we got some really big shows coming next week. Going to have the team from Huxley Saga joining on Tuesday afternoon, and then on Thursday from Jenkins the Valet, and Azerbula, I hope I pronounced that correctly. We're going to have a few of their team members as well because they have some big stuff coming. So really excited about those interviews. We will kind of touch on the market later in the week as well. I'm expecting it to be a very slow weekend in NFT volume. I wouldn't be shocked if like OpenSea volume went under 10 million just with the holidays over here in the States. So I think that'll about do it. Dan, you watching the race on Sunday?
Always.
British Grand Prix,
Looking
baby.
forward.
We'll see. Max he's starting to pull away. I don't know if the Ferraris can get back in the hunt or not, but we'll check that out.
Yeah, that's the real question. We can move on from all this NFT stuff because we know how this NFT stuff is gonna go, right? It's gonna be low volume, floors going down, people crying, everything's on fire. But Formula One though, now that's the question.
And shout out to our man Dikenzas, who has become
always
one of our favorite people in Q2 of this year. Appreciate the hell out of you being here, man.
Amazing project as well.
Amazing project. Check
Huge
that out.
winner.
Yep, big time. So head over to FLOLiO.com, like our show, subscribe, all that good stuff. For Dan, for the rest of the team at FLOLiO, everyone have a great and safe weekend, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.